All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be covering a player by the name of Charles Barkley, an all-time great player, all-time great power forward who started his career in the mid-'80s and played all the way until the late '90s. Charles Barkley is a player that was very unique for his position. He was 6'6", playing power forward, was a dominant player in more ways than one. So we're going to be going through his career. I'm going to give a breakdown from start to finish of his career and what he was able to accomplish. And for those who already do know who Charles Barkley is and are familiar, that's fine. You'll still have a great appreciation for this video because I'm going to highlight everything he was able to do in his career. And for those who are not familiar, that's even better. You're going to learn a lot today. So that's the player we're covering. So tune in. We're about to get right into it. All right, so let me start out by saying this first. Charles Barkley attended a high school in Leeds, Alabama. The high school actually was called Leeds High School. And in his junior year, he tried out for the varsity team. Now, at the time, he stood 5 feet 10 inches tall. He tried out for the varsity team in his junior year. He didn't make the cut. Over that summer, he grew 6 inches. He came back 6'4". Tried out again for the varsity team. He made the cut. And he averaged 19 points and 18 rebounds in his senior year on the varsity team. And with him leading the way, his team finished with a 26-3 overall record. They went to the state semifinals. He showed out, and his team didn't get any further than that, but he got noticed by Auburn University's assistant head coach at the time. He noticed Charles Barkley playing, and he saw how he performed, and they were the college university that recruited him. So he ended up going on to play for Auburn University in college. He played with them for 3 seasons, and in 1984 he was named the SEC, which stands for the Southeastern Conference Player of the Year. He made the All-SEC team all 3 years he was there. He made an All-American second team while he played for Auburn as well. So he had numerous accolades that he received while he played for Auburn. And most importantly, he was able to get the Auburn Tigers to their first NCAA tournament appearance in school history while he played there. And in his career, in those 3 seasons he played for the team, he averaged 14 points, 9.5 rebounds, and shot over 62%. Charles Barkley was a very efficient player. Please understand that Charles Barkley was once again listed as 6'6". He probably was really probably closer to 6'4". And he played center in college. So he was great. I wouldn't even say he was a dominant player in college, but he was showing, glimpses of his dominance with how effective he was on the rebounding, scoring a little bit, but just how efficient he was, at his size. So after that, after his 3rd season, he did declare for the NBA draft. So he was drafted number 5 overall in the '84 draft. Of course, the '84 draft also featured names like Michael Jordan, John Stockton, Hakeem Olajuwon. Legendary draft class, the '84 draft class. So he was drafted number 5 overall by the Philadelphia 76ers. So he came onto a team that was 2 years removed from winning a championship. That was in the '82-'83 season when Philadelphia won. So they still had their core group of veteran all-star level players, that being Dr. J and Moses Malone and Maurice Cheeks. And they were looking to add on to their squad, add another piece to potentially win another championship. And Charles Barkley was the piece that they thought that they may have needed. And he brought a lot to the table, even his rookie season. In his first year, he didn't start every game. He started about 60 games. He did average 14 points in his rookie year. He averaged 8.5 rebounds. And in the playoffs that year, his first year, he upped his rebounds per game average to 11 rebounds per game. And he helped the 76ers reach the conference finals, where they did fall short against the Boston Celtics, led by Larry Bird. So it wasn't really until his next year where he started to really blossom as a player. The next season, Charles Barkley came back even stronger, averaging 20 points and over 12 boards a game. And in the playoffs, he took it to the next level, averaging over 25 points and almost 16 rebounds a game. And they went to the second round of the playoffs. They lost to Milwaukee in 7 games in the semifinals that season. And that was Moses Malone last season on the team. And the following season, the 86-87 season, that was Dr. J's last season altogether. So after they left the team, it pretty much became Charles Barkley's team. So in Dr. J's last season, they did get bounced in the first round. They lost to the Milwaukee Bucks again. And then after Dr. J retired the next season, with Charles Barkley being the face of the team, they actually did not qualify for the playoffs. That was the 88 season. They came back in 89. They did qualify for the playoffs. They made it into the playoffs, but they lost in the first round to the New York Knicks, led by Patrick Ewing. And then in the 89-90 season, they advanced into the semifinals where they squared off against Michael Jordan and the Bulls, and they fell short against them. And then in the 90-91 season, the same thing. They made it to the second round and fell short against them again. And in his final season in Philly in 1992, they didn't qualify for the playoffs. So Charles Barkley was not able to get his team over the hump, but he did show that he was a dominant individual player. Other than his rookie season with Philly, he averaged over 20 points per game. And from his third season in the 87-88 season onward, he averaged 25 points per game or more up until the 91 season, which was his second to last season with Philly. His final season was in the 92 season. And also throughout that time period, he maintained a double-digit rebounds per game average. In the 85-86 season, he led the league in rebounds, averaging over 14 rebounds per game. And in the 86-87 playoffs and in the 89-90 playoffs, he led the playoffs and he led all players in the playoffs in rebounding, averaging over 15 rebounds per game. So Charles Barkley, once again, he showed that he was dominant in more ways than one when it comes to scoring, rebounding. He affected the game in multiple ways. But it wasn't until he joined the Phoenix Suns team in the 92-93 season where he was able to really shine as a player overall, not just as an individual because he already was doing that, but also team success-wise. He was able to lead his team, the Phoenix Suns, to the best record in the NBA that year at 62-20, and he won the MVP award that year. And he got a lot of credit that year, not only because of his individual dominance, averaging 25 points and 12 rebounds, and also had a career high in assists, averaging a little bit over 5 assists per game, but his second best player, Kevin Johnson, their point guard, he missed 30 games that year. So in that time period, Charles Barkley did have to carry more of the load. Of course, they did have a pretty well-rounded team. They had Dan Marley, who was a shooting guard, an all-star shooting guard that year. Also made an all-defensive team. They had a rookie by the name of Richard Dumas, who was a very good rookie player that season and who was a very good player overall. And if I'm not mistaken, his career got cut short because he had drug issues. But Charles Barkley did carry a lot of the load, and he was rewarded for that, and he was able to lead the Phoenix Suns to the finals where they squared off against Michael Jordan and the Bulls. And just like any team that squared off against Jordan and the Bulls in that era, they fell short. Charles Barkley did his thing. He averaged 27 points and 13 rebounds. It was a very competitive series. It almost went to Game 7. The Phoenix Suns had a 2-point lead in Game 6. John Paxson hit the go-ahead shot with a few seconds left in that game, and they were able to close out the Phoenix Suns. The Bulls were in 6 games. Charles Barkley played well. He was outperformed by Michael Jordan, which pretty much is what happened to anybody in that era that squared off against Michael Jordan. But Charles Barkley held his own. And after that season, Michael Jordan retired, so it freed Charles Barkley up to maybe capitalize and win some championships. He had his chance to step up to the plate, but in both of those seasons, in 94 and 95, he lost to the same team, that being the Houston Rockets led by Hakeem Olajuwon, who showed that he was the best player during Michael Jordan's absence. Charles Barkley was not able to get past his team, and he had a great opportunity in 95. Matter of fact, both of those series went 7 games, but in 95, they actually had a 3-1 lead against the Houston Rockets, but they blew that lead. And after the 96 season, which was Charles Barkley's final season with the Phoenix Suns, he ended up teaming up with Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler on the Houston Rockets to try to form a big three. Of course, at that point in their careers, they were starting to age a little bit. All three of them were still very good players, but they weren't quite in their primes, I would say. But in the 96-97 season, they did get to the conference finals. They squared off against the Utah Jazz. And in Game 6, John Stockton hit a game-winning shot and closed out the series. And from that point onward, pretty much each season, Charles Barkley started to miss more and more games due to injury. And he finally retired in the year 2000. So Charles Barkley played 16 seasons in the NBA. And in those 16 seasons, he made 11 All-Star teams. He also made 11 All-NBA teams. 5 times he made it on the first team. 5 times he made it on the second team. And 1 time he made it on the third team. Of course, as I stated before, he was the MVP in the 93 season as well. So in terms of individual awards and accolades, Charles Barkley is right up there with a lot of players, but he was never able to capture a championship. So he is definitely a player that should be mentioned as one of the all-time great players that never won. He was a dominant player. The man did have 11 consecutive seasons, averaging over 20 points and 10 rebounds. And at his peak, he was as good as anybody, at the power forward position. It's just he never won. But at his best, he was just as dominant as any great power forward all time. So I wanted to do a video on him today to explain his career and what he was able to accomplish. I hope you guys learned a lot and enjoyed the video. Stay tuned because there is some more videos to come. And not only that, once again, for those who do not follow me on Instagram already, please do. We're starting to do more podcasts more frequently each week. And there is one coming up this Saturday, which is tomorrow actually at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So, as usual, everybody have a blessed day. All glory be to God. Thank you again.